Hey everybody, welcome back to Grit and Grind. So as you can tell by the title, today we are going to attempt to turn some of that old scrap wood that was left over from a demo when we remodeled the house. I was thinking about using this 3/4 inch plywood for the top. However, just looking at how bad that's warped from sitting around, probably not going to use that. I could potentially recycle this one right here, but I don't know dimension wise how well that's going to work out. And I am a little bit limited right now by what I have here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I do have some plywood in the back there, or I'm sorry, OSB. Get it right, that I could use that is pretty straight, nothing wrong with it behind all that. So I might end up using that probably for the top. What I think I'm going to do is these are already at a decent height for what I want, because I'm looking at a standing move around work surface that I can just, roll around the garage. So that'll probably be the height. I already bought wheels for it from Harbor Freight, I think. So yeah, 2 of these and then 2 locking 200-pound capacity 3-inch swivel casters with a brake and without a brake. So I think that was probably about $20. They have a lot of different casters that you can get at Harbor Freight. I was thinking initially I could probably make this all out of scrap wood. But the more I think about it, I'm probably wanting to go a little bit bigger than what I have. So I might end up getting some 2x4s, and I want to go 2 foot wide is what I'm thinking. I might go 8 feet long, but I don't know for sure. I haven't quite decided. Be good for easy to rip down plywood, or the OSB, not the plywood. So that way I can have, picture your top rack, and then also just a bottom shelf to place things on and your top surface for working. Might have to cut these down a little bit more. Again, probably going to need some extra 2x4s here to make this work. I do have one in the corner. Thinking through it though, let's get some measurements here. So I do know that these are all the same. What was here was actually a raised platform that we had a wood stove on. So these are all the same because it was square boxed out. But see how tall this is, just to get an idea of what we're working with height wise. So I'm just under 43 inches. I'm going to have those wheels on the bottom, which are probably going to add about 4 or 5 inches. So I may have to cut these down a touch. That bring my working height probably to about here, which is maybe a little bit tall. Let's see how long these are though. Okay, so these are a little bit longer. These are just a touch under 54. I'd like to get these to about 4 foot, these 2 longer ones, so that way I can have, I'm thinking, a 4 foot long sheet of plywood that goes on there. I know they look kind of meh. Again, it's just a workbench. It's just going to be rolled around the garage. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to use as much stuff as I have as of right now. I only have about $20 into this whole project. If I end up needing more 2x4s, then I'll probably have to bite the bullet and get some more. See how long this one is. So these have a 45 in there. And I feel like I had one more of these somewhere, but heck if I know where it is. So let's just say, okay. So I could get 4 foot out of here, but I'd still need one more so that way I could get your bottom shelf put in. I have a lot of other crap pieces of wood around here. However, I just don't really want to use that. I have like some 2x6s and stuff like that. I don't want to use the 2x6s. A lot of other scrap wood here. I think I'm gonna end up needing at least one 2x4, probably cut in half. And then I'm gonna need, your 2 foot sections roughly. So I'm gonna need those two. Scrap wood here and scrap wood right here. and right here. Can I get 4 foot out of this? Also 45 on both sides, so that one's not long enough. I don't think I have any other ones that aren't going to be long enough. So I'm going to need one 2x4 that's cut already down to 4 foot, unless I can get a 4 footer at Home Depot. They always come typically in 8 foot pieces. I have enough scrap wood for the legs, so what I'm gonna have to do here, because this is longer or wider than a 2x4, on the very bottom of these legs, if you can picture, these are the legs that I'm gonna use. I have one here, so I'm gonna have to double this up. I can use these scrap pieces to make that. Thinking, don't have 4 foot. Need one 2x4 cut in half will get me the bottom shelf. And then I have enough scrap wood for doubling these up. I know that's on a 45, but doubling these up so I can put rollers on. But I also need 8 foot. I'm gonna go 2 foot wide. Do a little more figuring here. Like one that's flat. Probably I'm gonna cut these about 2 foot. Well, probably cut these maybe 6 inches. Yeah, I'll cut these 6 inches so I can get my 4 pieces on the bottom. So this one is good enough for that. This one will give me my 4 bottom posts. Could actually probably, I could cut it out of there. And then this one I can actually get one 2 footer out of for my side, and I need 4 of them in total for what we're doing. Get another 2 footer out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this gonna work? Measure a bunch, think through it. So 1 2 footer, 2 2 footers. I need 2 more. This one I can use for my scrap pieces for the bottom. So that's gonna be the bottom. These will each be side or my legs. The bottom of the legs over there, and I can get 4 out of here, and I get another 2 feet. I can get another 2 feet, just short for trying to make this work. I can get a 4 footer, so I need a 4 foot. Actually, that'll work. I can get 4 feet out of here, and then I can get another 2 footer, but I still need one more 2 footer. We will get one 2x4 cut in half will give us the 4 foot we need. And then I can get another 2 foot out of this board. Let me show you. So I know nothing is in square, but you got your 4 foot, your 4 foot. That will be your 2 footers. I will go ahead and cut those down to be the 2 footers. They're a little bit more, but I don't have enough to get 4 out of here. Do I? Hold on. That one's going to be scrap for the bottom. Those are my uprights. I say I can cut these down. I probably can cut these down. I can, because I only need 2 foot out of here. I know not exact, but just thinking through it, I can get 2 foot out of here. I won't get more. So actually I can get my scrap wood out of here, and I can probably actually use that one for my other 2 footer. So I think I have enough to make this work. So we're gonna get some cutting and start laying this out. We'll get something mocked up. Again, these are not perfect boards by any means, but we're just trying to make a rolling table for the least amount possible. So I'll come back to you in a minute. All right, so I'm making my box for the outside that I want it 2 foot by 4 foot. So the question that I have for myself is, do I want to make these 2 foot and make my 4 foot shorter to account for the width of 2 boards? Or do I make these shorter and then make the other ones right on 4 foot and stick these in between? I'm thinking I'm probably going to make these 2 foot exactly, and then since I have to cut my other ones down anyway, I'll just make sure that I am cut at 4 feet. As you can see, this wood's not the best. Again, I don't really care about getting it perfect. It's just a workbench. You have to think about what you're doing. Are you going for pure craftsmanship, which I am not, or are you going for functionality, which in fact I am? So close, in my opinion, is fine enough for me. We're gonna mark these at 2. And I cut a little bit off. So actually I just need to nip a little bit more than there. Silly me for thinking that I could get this right dead center here, but I can't. you need to take just a little bit more off here. So a lot closer than it was. This will be my 1 2-footer. Let's use this, make a mark on my other 2-footer that I need. This board right here. I'd use that as a template, but since it's not perfect, I'm gonna go with one of these ends being good. I'm gonna use the other end. Mark this at 2. And I probably should be using a bigger table or sawhorses to cut this. But I got my 2s, and if I were to lay this out now, it's gonna be something like this. And then my 4s are gonna go this way. This will be one of my 4s, like this. And then this one we'll put, so we're cutting that at 4. So this is what I meant about putting my stringers either in between or on the end. I'm using them on the end instead of in between like that. Knowing that, I want to measure and get an overall length from there to 4 feet that way. And I'm going to measure both of these. So if they're up against there, so 4 foot minus the thickness of your 2x4, measure twice, cut once. It's doing it for myself, so that's fun. So if I have my overall 4 here, that gives me a line, and I don't have my pen on me, so I'll be right back. So imagine this is my end board just like that one is. So if this is marked out at 4 foot, now I have my end to cut. I'll mark that not on the end, I'll mark it on here in a minute. But again, we want this mocked up. So same thing, 4 foot minus the width of this. Now that I have a mark, put my cut line, mark my cut line again, and then we will cut these. So now we have our 4-footers. It'll end up looking something like this. 2 foot. So right here we'll have our box, and then picturing your legs going up like that in each corner, we'll have to make another one of these for midway down that'll be partially a shelf, really just some extra storage if you're working on a lot of stuff. Hoping not to clutter it, but of course if you do anything in your garage and you take something existing that has a shelf space, you're gonna throw stuff on it. So I'll have to discipline myself not to do that. We're starting to take shape, so I need to duplicate this exact thing. So I have 2 of these. So I think before I go ahead and do anything else with this and start putting it together, I'm going to duplicate this box, and then we'll work on the legs. Okay, so I have my 4 foot right on the edge of that crack. I know the crack is straight because I was here when they saw cut these. And I mean, you could look at it. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but they are straight. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and I got this mocked up. I have my 2-footer here. I'm going to screw in. I'm just using 2.5-inch deck screws because that's what I have currently. One, and I'm just going to use 2 to hold this. Do the same thing on the other side. Then do the bottom one. Just like that. Line it up on the back side here. And I'm using my line again. Would help if I had a magnetic holder to hold this bit in, but that's okay. Just like that, we got our top base. We got to make 1 more of these. Then we'll start putting the legs on, constructing this table. I'm not going to bore you with doing 1 more of these, so I'll just do it off camera. Get back to you guys in a minute. All right, so the wheels that I'm using are 4 inches, and if I were to place them at the bottom of these the way they're existing right now, that would give me an overall height of table 47.5 just by the time we add our plywood to the top. Pretty much right where the top of my tape measure is. That's a little high for working. So what I'm thinking I want to do is I want to get an overall height be about 44 to 45 inches, which would be working right about here. I think that's good for most things you're going to be doing on there. So if that was the case, I would need to cut off about 3 inches from these boards. So I'm going to rip these down by 4 inches, and that should give me a better height. So I currently cut all of my legs at 39 inches to account for the 4 inches that are there. So that'll get me to about 43 and a half by the time I'm done overall height. Now we're going to attach the legs just like this, one in each corner. This one is going to be my top piece, and then I have my other box ready to go, and we'll talk about height in a minute. But for right now, let's get these 4 legs tacked on, and then we can deal with doing something with that. I'm gonna do the 2-screw method still, but for now, just to hold these and get everything squared up or sturdy, I'm just going to put 1 screw in for now to hold on each one of my legs. 1, 2. So if you remember, none of these boards are straight or square to begin with. I'm trying to square it up as best as I can using that edge there. In order to put the bottom on after I tacked my base, I just went ahead and drew a line 12 inches from the bottom on all these boards. It's a little bit easier to see right there. Lined it up. I got 1 screw holding the bottom on both sides, 1 screw holding the top on both sides, and again, keeping it from shifting left and right. Squared it off of that. I know it's not sitting there right now, but use that to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and run in another screw in each of these. So I have 2 screws holding. Then all we have left is putting on some extra pieces here so I can tack wheels, and also putting on a top here and your actual top, which we still have to figure out if I'm going to use that OSB over there or if I can save anything from this 3/4 inch plywood top. I'd like to use this for the very top, but I don't think I'm going to be able to save that based off the dimensions I have, but we'll see as we get a little bit farther. Okay. So as we know, these wheels are not going to fit. So I have these scrap cutoff pieces that I was using before. We are going to use these like so. I'm actually not going to put them on this side, I'm going to put them on the bottom, but that way we have enough good pieces to screw into with our wheels. We can roll this around. So I am going to attach these real quick, and then we will put the wheels on. At that point, once we do all of that, all I have to do is go back and add our top here and our top here, which I'm still debating on, but we'll see how it turns out. 2 down, 2 to go. Okay, that's gonna be wheels. I'm gonna put a locker on both of these sides. I'm gonna put 1 locker and 1 free roller on one end. Same thing on the other end, just to make it relatively easy on myself. Yeah, I think that'll work out good. Yeah, we can make this work. And my deck screws I could use, but I'm thinking, nah, I'm gonna use the deck screws. One. Note to myself, you guys remind me too. Really, I need to get a magnetic holder for drill bits because this just is annoying. I don't know how many times I've dropped this today working on this project. I don't know how many I'm leaving in or cutting out just because it's filler content that you guys don't need, but this isn't the move. I'm going to flip this around, do the two others. Again, not going to bore you with that, repeating the same process. Look at that. Now, we have a roll-around workbench. Yeah, this is going to be a good height for working on things in the garage. Again, got to put the top on, and we'll put something down here so we have some shelf space. Wanted to keep this high enough that it has enough clearance to roll over things in and around the garage, but not so low too that you really got to bend over to get stuff. And the nice thing is, if I put that down, really can't go anywhere because that wheel's locked. So I'm glad I put in 2 wheel locks. Let's think about what we're going to do for the top of this. All right, so I was able to find a piece of OSB that already pretty much fit my needs. It was 4 foot, just under 4 foot long, and definitely more than 2 foot wide. So as you can see, I have a little bit of an overhang here, which I want. Again, it didn't fit exactly 4 foot, so I'm just doing what I can do with it. And I have a little more of an overhang than I would like. So ideally what I'm going to do is like 2 finger lengths from the edge of that board, what that one is. And we'll just take the saw and we'll cut that all the way off down there. So we're going to go ahead and screw this down and then we'll cut this off. Now it's hard to tell, but here should be about good. So now that I have this screwed down, I'm going to go ahead and I want to cut this back because I want about 2 finger lengths. Nothing fancy, just the chalk line that I'm going to use to do this. So I don't need this to be exact, but I am going to go just like that. Same thing on the other side here, pull tight. And looks like I need more chalk on here, so let me snap this one more time. I got a good line here, but not a good one at the end. So we will do this one more time. Looks like I got more chalk coated here. And I have enough of a line, it may not show up good on camera, but I have enough of a line that I can follow with the circular saw, so we can cut this off and have a table we're happy with. Let's adjust this guard since I don't have to go too deep into here. Don't need to take off more than I need. Years of not moving this up and down has left this a little bit. That will be more than enough. Let's set this guard back and we are good. And just like that. Not perfect, but again, workbench. We're good. Now we just need to do something with the bottom because I want to be able to have storage. Let's see what we can round up to make that work. Okay, I do have a trash piece of 3/4 inch plywood. Not perfect, but see how this edge is screwed up anyway. If I take this edge off right about there, and then I have to anyway because it won't fit in between the legs. Take a little bit off there, and then I'll have to cut the bottom where it's sticking out. But this should actually work fine for just a storage shelf on the bottom. So let me rip this off. We'll install it, and I'll show you what the finished product looks like. All right, guys, here it is. My 100% made from scrap roll around workbench for the garage. I know the bottom isn't perfect. I could have cut that way differently, made more shelving space, but I was just looking to do least amount possible, keep some scrap wood, so try to make the least amount of cuts possible, and just put something together that's super functional for me, rolls around nicely, is a good height for working on. So do me a favor, if you like this video, please go down and like, comment, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it helps me keep making these videos for you. If you want to support the channel in a little more direct way, please go down in the video description box. You'll see Amazon affiliate links to a lot of my favorite tools, things that I use. If you like something you see and you want to order through there, it does not cost you any extra, but I do get a percentage if you go ahead and buy something through there. So just a way to support me directly. But again, If you don't, please just like, comment, and subscribe for more content.